focus on stuff here. Welcome back, lever monkeys. Now that you've skipped over my intro, to repent, smash that like button for me. Thank you. Alright, this is just going to be a little bit of a training video. I'm going to talk about compaction wheel use. Alright, let's go ahead and get right into it. So here you see I'm doing a top lift. I'm just going to smash this stuff down. There's no real skill to it. I mean, you bash on it and you make it hard. The way I do it, I like my first pass. I'm just going to apply enough pressure where it just barely lifts the machine up. Using both the boom and stick, I'm relieving the pressure as I'm pulling back in and pushing out. I'm adding pressure. So as I'm not just lifting the machine way up in the air, because when you do that, you're actually going to lose pressure on the wheel, and you're actually losing compaction capabilities. So as we progress through this and I start moving back the other direction, what you're going to see is I'm going to move in small increments. Probably, most likely I move over one pad at a time, width-wise. I make less back and forth motions, and I'm getting a harder and better result out of my compaction effort and time that I put into it. As you can see, I'm just moving over little bits at a time, hitting the high spots and not just bashing in between where I've already been. This makes it so I only do maybe 3 passes, and I'm close to a 90 to 95. If I need to definitely get a 95, I'll make a 4th, maybe a 5th pass, depending on the material type. So as I get further out here, you can see longer strokes at the further reach of the machine. The machine's going slower. I prefer to keep the stick about in this zone of straight up and down, and that gives me maximum compaction and the quickest stroke time. Alright, so the material I'm doing, or the way I mix water into my material, is I like to make a pond. I make a big soupy mess, and the water truck, while he's off reloading, I can sit here and mix and get the material the way I want it. I'll grab some dry stuff, mix in with the wet, and balance it out to the proper consistency that I like. So a little trick I use to get a proper estimate on the water content in the dirt is if I pick the material up and I kind of drop it, and you can see all the dust flying around, when the dust will slowly fall to the ground instead of float away, you're really close to the proper water content on your material. Now if you pick up the material and it flops on the ground, goes splat, you're a little heavy on water, so you need to mix in a little dry. Alright, so here we've got my apprentice kid, Jesse. He's not really a kid, it's not really my apprentice, but that's what I call him. So you're going to see he's fairly new to the excavator. We've bumped him up from the loader position, which he was really good at, and now he's made his way up to a seat in an excavator. So as you watch Jesse work here, you're going to notice his method of compaction is a little different than mine. He's a little more timid, he's slow, he's not as sure of himself with the motion of the rig and how much pressure to apply. as I'm looking at this, I'm looking either this is a top lift because it looks like the same area I had already been working on. So you can see he's just kind of floating the wheel. He's actually wheeling a little close to the rig. If it were me, I would back up a little bit and get a little bit more distance from it and just be able to apply more pressure and get my stick out of the tree. Now, we are working in some tight conditions. We're surrounded by trees, and there is a power line that is going to a private residence that's off camera to the right-hand side that actually passes through the trees, and really is kind of a pain in the butt to have to manage. So as Jesse's working here, you can see he's using the same technique that I've showed him, is moving over just a pad at a time to get the best coverage of the material. Being able to get speed while you're compacting around items like this pipeline, this bypass line, which is running full at this moment of sewage. So his tentative motions working around it are warranted at his skill level at this time. So one good thing, if you're not working around things like this, something you can do to practice is put a cone out there and wheel as fast as you can and see how close to that cone you can get without damaging the target. So here we've moved on to the next section in the pipeline. This is me back in the seat. We are mixing more moisture into material which we dug out, which is in a rockier area, and we're required to have a 3-inch minus, and we negotiated with the inspector and the developer to allow us to go with a 5-inch minus rock. So we have a rake bucket, or a straining bucket here, that or rock bucket, whatever you want to call it, that allows 5-inch minus to pass through. So one good thing to note here is with these buckets, the drier the material, the quicker you'll be able to sift the material. Once you get the material up to optimum moisture, it's harder to shake the material through the holes in the bucket. What you'll find is the dirt will clump up and stick in the bucket more than fall through freely. Alright, so we're back to the compaction wheel. I've put a lift in here already, and we're working it in. I'm going to get in line with the trench and push that material down the trench line and spread it as my first lift. And then I'll talk about a technique that I use when compacting on material that is, or rock over a pipe that is in the same shape as the pipe. So it's a 1-foot pile of rock that covers the pipe, not just flat across. So it creates V-like voids on the left and right hand side of the pipe. Alright, so here's a good example. If you look at the wheel as it's dropping the material off of the wheel, you can see what I was talking about earlier about the dust. It falls off in particles and it falls to the ground and doesn't necessarily just float away. So it's not falling off in clumps. Alright guys, before we get started on actually watching me wheel, I'm going to give you a little presentation on the theory behind why I do the things that I do. Just as an example of what's going on here when you're running your wheel over the sides and over the center. So I don't like running over the center of my compaction here because you may have a real thin layer of dirt. So this is dirt, here's your rock. This is your rocky area or rock zone that is piled up and over the pipe. So if you run your wheel right here first, what happens is you're putting pressure straight down on this rock, which will displace your rock left and right into these zones here. So instead, what I do is I will compact here first, and then on this side, which will put pressure like this, which will be holding the rock in place before making a pass over the center, and it'll prevent you from squashing the pipe or pushing the pipe downward or pushing the rock out. And that's basically how I do my compaction when I'm running over this type of material. Alright, now to see how I actually do it. I'm making some long strokes here because I'm just trying to bide some time. I'm not in any kind of performance mode. So I make a couple of passes on the left side, make a couple of passes on the right side, just getting some pressure to hold that rock in place so we're not displacing any of that rock to the left and right, and risking pushing the pipe down in grade because we're running such a flat grade. We're running 0.01%, or sorry, 0.1% of slope, which is pretty much dead flat. So as I said earlier in the video, these long strokes, when you're reaching way out there, they really slow the machine down and you're actually losing some production. I prefer about a 10-foot section, and why I'm doing this I don't know. But about a 10-foot swath, that'll give you the maximum speed and maximum pressure of the machine, and you'll actually compact your areas. Your sets will be shorter, but you'll be making more production over time. Okay, my lever monkeys, thank you for watching this little tutorial on using a compaction wheel on an excavator in a trench. So if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you didn't like what you see, then give me a thumbs down and leave me a comment. Tell me why I'm wrong, tell me if I'm doing this wrong or right, or if you actually thought this was a great idea and you'd never thought about it before. So after you get done doing that, smash that frickin' subscribe button. I need all the subscriptions I can get to keep this channel up and running. It makes me happy to give you guys a bit of information to help you in your endeavors of becoming a lever monkey. Alright, we'll see you next time.